So why don't we just get started? We're going to work on the chest armor. All right. So my main goal for this is everything that we see here, I want the low poly just to be one solid mesh. Okay? Let's hide my teeth. So I just want one solid mesh on everything. So I'm going to select my chest armor and then inverse select shift and drag a box around everything else. H to hide it. Then I'm going to go in, select all this stuff. We'll click my component button up here. And we're in face mode. Let's turn off my symmetry. And we're just going to focus on one half of this shoulder armor. I have no idea what all this stuff is. So I'm just going to delete it. Maybe leftover stuff. All right. So I think I'm just going to use the gear original. See what my gear original looks like. And let's bring up my gear high poly. Doesn't really match anymore. Or maybe it never did. So, oh, and I also have all this other armor stuff that I need to take into account. So I think what we're going to do for this one, I'm just going to combine it all. So I'm going to take, and we're finally going to combine this whole thing here into one mesh. All right. And then I'm going to go through and I guess we'll go ahead and I'm going to name this. We got to stay organized and say chest armor high. I'm going to duplicate it, go chest armor, smoothed, and we're going to make our first smooth option. Let's drop that there. And yeah, so this will go ahead and give us our smooth mesh. We'll do 2 smooths. So this is what we're going to bake from. And we're also going to retopo this into a single piece of geometry. And it's going to actually be our low poly, and it's going to take into account, we're actually physically going to model this detail out. So yeah, let's just dive into that. So we're going to make it live. And this is the process you would do if you were bringing something over from Mudbox. And we're going to bring up the quadro. And I think I'm going to start out kind of like I did when I originally made this stuff. I'm just going to start out by making my first. There we go. So I'm just going to outline pretty much my chest armor to start out with. I always like kind of defining my outlines of things. Feel free to change this to double speed as I do this. I'm not going to be too worried about deformable geometry because I'm never going to deform this chest piece. And then just try to match the silhouette of our armor as best we can. So you can see that I added some more edge loops there, and one right there. See, I can't do that. There we go. So I'm having to add these vertical lines to mold to the the vertical slice of our armor. It's being cranky. There we go. You may have to like pull a face out and tug stuff around to get at a vertice. I'm just gonna populate with some jump. Well, you know what? I'll do that later. It's easier to. It's just easier to stay thick. I'm having a lot of trouble rotating, so I'm going to go out of quad draw mode. I'm going to select the vert, press F on that, and now I can rotate around this area of the model a lot easier. That was annoying the heck out of me. There we go. We'll go in and add more edge loops later. See how it needed some geometry. So if your low poly doesn't have enough going on with it, it may just not behave right because there's just control and left click will add another. I see what we're supposed to do with this. It's supposed to go up and follow this lip. So we're trying to create the extruded armor into one nice piece. Let me redo this one then. So you see this little corner right there of this armor? Might be a little hard to see sometimes. I'm going to drag it out so I can easily select it. See how I drag it out so I can get it to some nice flat country, so I can go in and snap and position a little bit easier. Alright, I'm going to pause and keep working on this. I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm starting to fill out the chest part. So I'm going to put in a few edge loops there. I'm just going to, because I need to make sure that I have enough geometry to really capture the organicness of the the actual chess piece. And what's beautiful is, since it's a low poly, I don't need to worry about triangles so much. I'll do an edge loop there, connect it, and then a relax will smooth things out. I'll go back in and do a double check. Let's see. Okay, nice. I'm just going to go in and make sure that I'm lined up nicely with my high poly detail. Spent all that time modeling this detail to be nice and expertly crafted. So I'm just lining up my verts right on the corners as best I can. So if you relax, then this is what happens. So only relax on places where it's kind of like smoothed out detail. See, I'm trying to recreate the look of that armor. Let's see what our progress looks like. See how I'm trying to create the silhouette of my Mando armor. Alright. Quad draw. Yeah, I tried to bring up that. Let me undo that. Let me get the edges here. That way maybe middle mouse click will drag up all the edges in between. All I have to do is worry about. Yeah, they snap to the back face. So I'm going to bring them up. These back faces just are not an optimal thing. Lessons learned. So try to minimize back faces as much as possible. See all these faces on the back side of my armor here? My quad draw tools wouldn't have snapped to them. I'll just wrestle with it. So quad draw tool is just having too much trouble getting this shape out. So I'm just going to model it myself. So turn off lap surface, hide it out. And then what just needs to happen. We just need to extrude these faces out. We'll merge and merge. Bring back the gear. We'll set it back to a live surface, right click and make live. And then you'll notice that anywhere I slide my vertex, it'll snap. So we don't necessarily oh yeah. This is funny. So I'm just moving it in the Z-axis until it kind of gets to the right spot. There we go. Once it gets on the surface that I want it to, it kind of quits acting up. I'm just refining these verts. Just put that right on the edge. You can even go in and touch up all these other verts as well. Okay. So let's go back into quad draw. And so I'll start at the edges here, and I'll work big. Middle mouse click this time instead of mouse tab and middle mouse. And I'll just bring up that entire row, then I can position. Let me develop the shape of this strap here. Cool. So this is going to be a weird piece of geometry. I think what I'm going to do in this area is just pull it on straight through the base. And then the normal map will just pick up the rest of this detail here. We'll look straight down and just kind of pick up that ridge there. It's kind of cheap. But it's what we're going to do. Normal maps can pick up anything that it sees. Alright, and then it's just more quad drawing as usual. I'll pause it. Alright, so I'm getting there, and I got all the hard stuff kind of done. Well, the strap is going to be its own kind of world here. So let's keep working with it. Remember, keep working big. If you get a vert that gets out of place, just go out of quad draw mode, select it, and I find that moving it across one axis will bring it up to mainly where you want to put it. See how it's on the very outside and not on one of those inside faces. And then we just go back into Quadro. So make use of all your tools during this. That bolt is going to be baked into our normal net. There we go. That's the one I wanted, so I'll delete these. For some reason, it wouldn't let me put them exactly where I wanted. And now we're going to start. There we go. Just want to make sure that this is a triangle. Yep. Let's go back into Quadro. That looks uneven. So this strap is just going to pick up that nut or bolt or whatever you want to call it. Let me get to this. Okay. I've already started. Yeah. Looks like this vert's being a problem. So we just move it up on one axis until it decides it wants to start cooperating. Back into Quadro. Another rogue vert. All right, I'll pause and keep working. So in areas like this where the high poly is more rounded, I guess we just need to make our own judgment calls on that. You can add some more geometry across like this and kind of try to match it. But for the most part, I'm going to guess that a lot of baking for organic stuff is more forgiving than high poly. So I'm not going to worry too much about getting the exact shapes. Really, we're just trying to get somewhat of the same silhouette right now. Okay, from here it's just making the side here. You know what? I think I am going to it might be just easier to go ahead and draw out the quads where you want them, vert by vert. I'm working too small. Let's delete some of these edges. There we go. You know what? It should follow the amount of the verts. So I got verts up here. Let's create a pair right there, right there, right there. I'm just going to add a little bit more geometry to this. It's going to be a strong part of our silhouette, so I'm going to give it the geometry it deserves. It's going to draw a lot of eyes being right. You know, you're going to see this little bolt thing stick out from the side pretty easily. All right. Yeah. Let me keep working. All right. So I've gone through and nicely retopoed my chest piece to include all of the mechanical detail. And I've stopped just to the point where it goes in, because I'm not going to need to, on the low poly, I'm never going to see the inside of this. All right, so now I'm just going around and touching up the chest piece, doing a relax where I see that verts could be better. You'll notice I'm rocking a few triangles here and there. Some weird poles every once in a while. Just making sure that when I relax, I'm not messing with the detail of the mechanical parts of armor. All right, let's see the results. So I get a piece of armor that closely resembles the high poly with all the floating pieces of geometry together. A little bit tedious, but this is a very important model, and it's going to look really good having these silhouettes visible. It's going to really support those details. All right, so why don't we just make sure all of our verts, turn off our live surface. Just make sure all of our verts are flattened and on the center. And then we'll do a mirror duplication, Control D, negative scale. Shift right click to combine. Let's grab our verts. Low merge tolerance will merge us where we need to go. All right. And our chest is done. I'm going to take my newly made piece of geometry, and very important that we keep organized. I'm going to call this chest low mesh. And I'm going to press Control G on this chest, put it into a new group. We'll call this our low poly group. All right, I'll take that group. We'll make a new layer. That way we can start hiding stuff that's done. Low poly layer. And I'm going to go ahead and freeze, reset. And why don't we duplicate our smooth mesh. Back over, mesh, combine. A lot of verts there. And we'll just merge them. And our low tolerance will ensure that only verts that are sitting on top of each other are merged. Let's delete my history. Chest armor smooth, Control G. We'll go ahead and create a smooth group. We'll call this smooth layer. All right. Let's go ahead and go to display, show all. So there's my smooth, and there's my low poly. Very nice. Oh, you know what? Let me just extrude that in there. Oh yeah, looks like I need to do that around the arms too. Let's turn symmetry on for this one. And there we go. Just enough to eclipse in on our arm sleeves. All right. So let's do my sleeves now. Smoothed and low poly. Let's bring back my body here. Original body layer. And this is the geometry we have for this. So here's a trick. So this is already kind of my smooth high poly, isn't it? So I'm going to grab these arms and just go ahead and put them in my smooth group. Let's bring that back. I'm going to make this a live surface. And then for this arm, I'm going to select all the verts in it. And since this is a live surface, I'm just barely going to move. And suction cups, you know what? It has trouble on vertices around the hole. So let's deselect vertices around the border edge. See these outside verts. And then just barely touch it in a single direction. And it just snaps straight to our arm here. And you know what? This is my original body. I'm going to duplicate it and from here derive my low poly out of it. So we'll drag it out. We'll take it off of my original body lay. And I'm quickly going to make sure that it matches around the sleeve of my hand. It does well enough whenever you kind of force it one by one on the outside corners. So, no big deal there. And I'm never going to see these inside faces, and they're close enough. But we made our doll mesh. Let's get rid of our high poly body. We made our low poly, really low poly. So now that it's kind of shrunk wrapped around my arm, I'm just going to give my low poly one smooth. You know what? Let's do a smooth. I feel like that's almost too many edges around right here. I'm going to delete some of these edge loops right here. So when I do my smooth, it won't give us too much geometry. There we go. And I think I'm going to go in and Yeah, we'll just leave it like that. I'm just trying to think whenever I'm rigging it, how much geometry I'm going to have to play with to get it to bind correctly. I think that elbow would be just fine. All right, and that's our low poly arm. Try to go with a poly count that's akin to, something this thick. Face squares this big. You don't want it too low poly, and you don't want it too high poly for sure. So let's say arms, left, low poly, mesh, 1. I guess our naming convention is just to call it low. All right, and we move it into that group and it disappears. All right. Our gear, high poly. I'm not sure why I called this gear. I think it might be because, let's undo the live surface. This is our smooth. So let's just make sure all of our smooth stuff is removed from any layer. So everything in the smooth group. There we go. And there's our low poly group. All right, let's work on the pants next. All right, so our pants are going to include this crotch region right here. So let's bring up our original body. First, though, I'm going to refine this crotch piece so it better plays with what I've sculpted for my pants. So that just means I'll probably bring out and there's that keyframe messing with me, so I'm just going to right click and delete it. It's not letting me easily. We'll turn off symmetry since it's right down the center line. There we go. And I guess we need to make sure that this kind of flows into the pants because it's not going to be part of the silhouette anymore. There we go. What I need to do is make sure that this has a nice forced perspective. So I'm going to delete that edge loop for right now that goes around. And I'm just going to select these main outside faces. What I need to do is just kind of scale them in. Because when I look straight on it from there, I can't see the armor. I guess I'll scale it from that. What is going on here? Okay, I see what's going on. The back vertices here that are supporting the back detail, they're kind of way out in who knows where. I'm going to put this on a temporary layer to lock it down. Alright, what I'm going to do is actually, let's insert an edge loop kind of right there, right in the middle. And I'll turn symmetry on for this actually, so it'll make selecting my faces a lot easier. Oh, it's not symmetrical anymore right there. Let's see, let's turn off symmetry now. I guess I'll go ahead and just cut it in half. We'll delete these back faces. Alright. I just need this to be symmetrical right now, so I'm going to make sure it is. Control D. Mesh combine. Alright, perfect. Yeah, so I'm just going to select these faces again. Let's try this again. And hopefully now when I scale, we can see the outside edge around. And remember, our belt's going to be blocking most of this. These verts down here are a little cranky about it, so let's hand adjust them. Okay. And I guess I'll just play it extra safe. We'll flatten these up and just pull them up. And to give this more of an armored look when we go in and add our support edge loops. I'm going to get rid of these ones right here. All right. Now let's bring in our, see, body ridge right there. Why don't we see what we can do? Maybe that shrink wrap trick will work again. So I'm going to take these. You know what? I'm going to keep going with this. I'm going to kind of pull this out. Nice. All right, and we're going to go ahead and make this smooth and do a mesh combine. Don't blow up. Thank you, Maya. When you start messing with objects with a lot of geometry, it can get a little dicey out of memory. Yeah. All right, so let's delete my history. Maybe that'll help out the memory. And we'll call this pants smooth. Let's call this arms left smooth. All right. So these are my pants. What I'm going to bake from. Let's make it a live surface. Body original. I'm going to select all my verts. So since this is a live mesh, hopefully anything I do to move it, and it just snaps to. It's like a shrink wrap. Brilliant. Now the question is, do I want to go in and include that? Let's see. Beside my original body legs. Let's turn off my live surface. So this is a trick. I'm going to grab just the face of the crotch, and since they're combined, it's going to be hard to select just the crotch. So I'm using my gross selection tool just to grab that. And I think I think the best thing for this would be to push it in a little bit. It's just sticking out way too much. See, it's more of a subtle. So now, let's lock down my smooth. There we go. And just to simplify this leg process, I'm going to delete half of it. Just delete my keyframe. And we're just going to go through and double check how this all works out. Okay. Let's see. That's body of ridge. Low poly is that thick. I'm going to duplicate this piece, drag it into my low poly. Looks like I need to remove it from my body layer. Alright, looks like this vertex got weird. Trying to think if I need to do a smooth on this. What would one smooth look like? Not bad. Alright, before I do a smooth, I want to go in and reduce some loops. So when I do my smooth, it's not too crazy. Mesh, smooth once. Yeah, we'll go with that kind of poly density. Alright, and yeah. So I'm wondering if I should build into the silhouette this sleeve, these cuffs right here. I think I am. Alright, so let's bring this out. The best way to do this would probably be to shrink wrap it again real quick, because it lost some of its form when it got smoothed. So let me go in and re-grab this stuff, and you can hit this magnet right here to make that a live surface. We'll select my verts. Deselect the outside verts. And then hopefully, there we go. Shrunk wrap. Alright, now let's model in this cuff real quick. I'm going to lock down that mesh. So what I'm going to do is use my slide edge tool to slide it kind of towards the bottom here. And we're going to bring this edge loop down. We're going to slide it down. Actually, no, we're not. What I'm going to do is insert a new edge loop. Whoa. And then just kind of model it like that. And then I'm just going to hand touch it up to match some of the irregularity. We're just trying to suggest the silhouette a little bit of the cuff. Be careful not to select back verts. Ooh. All right. So let's hide my smooth. And very nice. Let's do the same thing up there real quick. So we'll grab, you know what? I think I need to do a shrink wrap on that one too. Because when you smooth, things kind of just get, you know what? I think the easiest way to, let's go ahead and select the border ring. And then hold down Control and right click 2 vertices. And then we'll do an inverse selection and just select the inside verts. And we'll just ever so slightly move the transform handle. That'll give us exactly what we want. And then we'll slide this edge loop to the base of this irregularity, this little cuff here. I'm going to unmagnify, maybe hide. Now I need to bring it back so I can see where to insert this new edge loop. Looks like it needs to be on the inside. There we go. And then we'll just kind of try to position it down. You know what? Slide tool. Get it as close to that cuff as possible, and then when we extrude it out, and then I'm going to put my smooth sleeve back into, there we go. So just a little touch up here and there, but I'm really trying to capture that cuff on my low poly. I kind of like making surfaces live. This little magnetize and shrink wrap effect, pretty decent. Nice. All right, so I got my pants smooth, arms smooth, let's unlive surface it, and my chest smooth, as well as pants low poly and pants smooth made. Let's duplicate this over. So modify, freeze, reset, Control D, -1X. Let's just hide my smooth real quick. Before I merge them, well, let's go ahead and merge them, combine. Before I merge, let's just select these verts down the center line and snap them to the center of the grid so they line up, and then merge. All right. That is my low poly legs. And the next video, we're going to keep going with our shoulder armor and gloves and belt buckles.